Is it the song?
Oh, you lied.
I got the song.
That's what you wanted on me.
Yeah, I was trying to buy some time. I thought you, I thought that was playing.
Nah, it wasn't. That's what I was telling you.
We supposed to have 4:30. I thought that was playing in the background or something.
Yeah, nah, man.
Uh, Shoot, well, I guess we. Hey, I put it out there already. We might. Right now. Peace and blessings, everybody. Peace and blessings, everyone. I'm gonna turn this on at least so I can kind of see what.
That'd be good.
Yeah. Like a mug. Got no background music. WDZZ play. Okay.
Oh, I get some. You know what I got?
We light it up like sauce in the sauce in the sauce. We light it up like sauce in the sauce in the sauce. Fli-City got some dogs in it, dogs in it, dogs. Fli-City come off authentic, authentic. We light it up like sauce in the sauce in the sauce. We light it up like sauce in the sauce in the sauce.
My city experiencing a transition from penny pinching, maximizing our dollars, multiply triple digits. I came a long way from baby jars in a project kitchen.
Folks chiming in. Peace and blessings, everyone. Peace and blessings. Man, we got a very special day today, man. We really want to make sure we kind of get one-on-one interviews out there and have conversations and just expand on topics and discussions that we want to, expand on in our community. So one of the things now is just really kind of having discussions centered around issues that we may face in the Flint community, but just as a culture of Black people. So with that being said, man, we got a very special guest in the studio today. We'll be talking about a number of different topics, something that we want to be able to be educated on, get a greater understanding about, but then just be insightful, because that's what we do as light seekers, as innovators. So with that being said, I want to definitely, man, make sure I'm Dwayne E. Robinson, aka Royale. I know y'all see that up there. What's up, Mick? You gonna be on? You on? Okay, yeah. All right. And then also, so I want to make sure I pronounce the name right. And if I mispronounce the name wrong, make sure we correct each other. Because when we call each other out, we talk to each other by name. When we just talking to each other, words are powerful. So I do want to pronounce the name Tushkahumoc.
Tush. Tushkahumoc.
Tushkahumoc.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So Tushkahumoc. Good work, good meet you, brother. Good having you on the show.
Yes,
right?
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir,
thank you.
man. So first thing first, man. Tell us what's the meaning behind the name.
Tushkahumoc was given to me by a Native American from the Pennacook tribe.
Pennacook tribe, okay.
Out of Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
And when I met him, I was simply Hemoc. Hemoc, which meant gatherer. In ancient Hebrew.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that when the name came to me.
Yeah.
But after I met him a few years later, Pennacook chief, he told me that I was not Hemoc.
You was not Hemoc.
That I was not Hemoc.
So you got to tell us what Hemoc is now.
Well, Hemoc means gatherer.
Okay.
But when I met him, he told me that my name was not Hemoc because I was much more dangerous than Hemoc. And he said that I was standing badger. One who helps the people, and that my name was Tushkahumoc, which meant warrior gatherer. So I adopted that name that he gave me in 2015.
So, man, I got to ask you, because the name is powerful. When you talk about Black people, African American people, Negroes, niggas, however you want to call it, name is very powerful. And in this western part of this world, right, a lot of our last names is of our plantation name, right?
Yes.
And I'm big on talking about name and really actualizing yourself, right? First, you have to understand who you are, but then also you have to find greater meaning and really kind of rename yourself, because for Black people, we have lost our culture while we've been over here, and to be honest, it's been stripped from us.
Right.
So that name, when I say it, even that I feel the power and the vibration behind it, right? I myself, went through a transformation too as well. I changed my name too. So for those who don't know, who know me as Dewani Robinson, that's my straw man. It's my straw man name. But my real name is Kamal Tai Mawanguzi, and that name was given to me when I was in Africa. And so I'm really, really big on changing our name, reconnecting to our culture. So I thought that was fascinating. Fascinating, the story how you just told me the background to your name.
Yes.
That means power.
We have to take a moment, because we are living in a condition that has us humanized.
Yes.
And we've gone through a lot of evolution in this human condition. And the mind is a very, very powerful tool.
Yes.
And you're born as, say, Jonathan Wiley. Your mom gives you that name,
right?
Because there was a Jonathan and the family was Wiley. Somewhere in the mix of that, spirit starts to pull on you, and you start to recognize yourself as something else, like you did.
That's true.
In finding that different name that resonated with you. And I'll say that is something that all of us are capable of doing. We're all capable of remembering what our names were.
That's powerful.
So
we're capable of remembering what our names were.
Our names were.
Right. That kind of brings me back to the conversation that I was having with a good brother, James Hunt. And the conversation, the basis of the conversation was, are we carrying on spirits of our ancestors? So meaning that I'm just a reincarnation of a spirit that was once before. And I'm carrying on that energy, and this is just the vessel that I'm carrying it in, right?
Yes.
So I'm carrying that certain energy that was from the past to carry out a specific purpose in the future.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
See, just knowing, just think about when folks really understand, purpose in life and why we're here, and the reason why, God put us in these times at these places with these people that we work with today, right?
Yes.
Everything's for a reason. Everything's but divine purpose.
Yes, without a doubt.
And life means so much more when you're able to really come to terms and follow purpose.
That's true. The unique part about remembering is remembering things that really change and alter your life. And in this instance, when I let me talk about who I am.
Please.
I'm Tushkahumoc Xelup. I'm the Director General for the National Association for the Advancement of Indigenous People. First of all,
let's hone in right there real quick. I want y'all to understand. Say that title again.
The National Association for the Advancement of Indigenous People.
Who are the indigenous people?
The indigenous people are the people, natural inhabitants, who are the Aboriginal descendants of the original people here in the Americas, North and South America. They are Maipuri people, not African Americans. Title that's been given to so many of our people.
Jesse Jackson messes up with that.
Yes. That was a COINTELPRO type of thing that took place. But there's a new dawning, and because of the establishment of NAAIP, I was able to actually access thousands of people that that resonated with the philosophy and the history that NAAIP was uncovering, and they've adopted various ideas and beliefs about indigenous nature and indigenous being here in the country. With those people that became members of NAAIP, those individuals are now citizens of the Maipuri Arauan Nation. They're citizens of the Maipuri Nation due to a treaty that was signed with the Maori Hapu of New Zealand that entered into treaty with NAAIP and the Maipuri Nation, recognizing us as an independent sovereign nation of Aboriginal people. So, I look at that and I say, this Tushkahumoc, who was Tushkahumoc?
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
I say, who was he? Because I know that I am carrying an energy that's newfound, that's awakened within me, and it hasn't been that way all my life. I've been reserved all of my life. I've been more or less a lone thinker all of my life. I actually dropped out of school in the 9th grade, and I went to Northern Virginia Community College. I lied and told them that I had graduated, and they were waiting months and months and months for my transcripts that never came, and finally they kicked me out. But I left Northern Virginia, and while I was at Northern Virginia Community College, I just felt the overwhelming sense because I was watching this TV show called Chico and the Man, and I told them that my name was Chico Lowendez, and I registered in the school as Chico Lowendez.
Okay.
Well, see, I changed my name actually, and I'm talking about resonation of energy.
Yeah.
Knowing that the name that was originally given to me was not my name.
Right.
And I recognize it. And sometimes people would say, where are you from? I'd say, far, far from here.
Right.
Because it's definitely not this place.
I
look at that and I say that the transformation to Tushkahumoc has been a very powerful transformation because I'm having to research who Tushkahumoc was without having an actual physical presence of this Tushkahumoc.
Yeah.
We are connected to our ancestors.
Yes, sir.
And it's like you may not have known your great grandparents, but you look like them.
I do.
So there's memory in that.
That's right.
And these names that you are pulling on to call yourself, that comes from memory of past knowledge, past information, because your spirit never loses this connection. And most of us are, believe it or not, most of us, we transmigrate back into the families that we are tied to, so that we can fulfill what's called karmic relations and responsibilities that came from before. But that's another topic altogether. But names are very important. And if you sit back after understanding who you might be, and you begin searching for who you might be connected to,
that's right.
The spirits then start to work with you.
Right.
The spiritual energies begin working with you because you never forget. You just don't remember.
You know what? Just speaking,
it's embedded in you. Go ahead.
Speaking on that right there, right? The power in who we are as people. Like, don't get it twisted. We may be these people on out here in this world today, but we working on something that's greater than ourselves.
For sure.
And so when I be having conversation, this stimulates and this actually makes me think about conversation that I have with brothers like Dr. Anthony Browder, James Hunt, right? Mrs. E. Hill Deloney. The thing is just of understanding who you are, but you'll go on a lifetime journey trying to find out who you are and still never realize who you are. And so when you just said like, yeah, you carrying on a certain type of energy, I be feeling that same stuff. I'm not Dewan, right? I'm feeling like something like from the past. I'm talking about historical past. And when I be feeling like that, it's a certain type of energy that I'm working up under. It's a certain type of anointment that I feel. So even when you just said that, man, that just activated my whole little spirit.
Well, good. Good. Because that's what it should do. It should activate the pineal, so that we can really start to try and enrich ourselves in a different type of way.
Would you talk about the pineal gland?
Well, I don't know a great deal other than the fact that it's a gateway.
Okay.
It's a gateway to for various forms of spiritualism.
Okay.
and but it's not something to actually concentrate on. The pineal itself is it's just a material thing.
Okay.
The thing to be concentrated on would be more um, more otherworldly, not of this physical plane. And to begin concentrating on those things, you have to have knowledge. You have to have guides and that sort of thing into the gateways of knowledge that will allow you to now know what it is that you should be resonating on in your meditation. Because people have it so twisted about meditation and yoga and that sort of thing, and they start contorting and doing all sorts of things, but it's not that at all. You know, it's a
They get a bad rap. So
Yes.
when you talk about meditation, when you talk about voodoo, when you talk about black magic, it's always looked down upon.
for sure.
But it's actually some powerful tools if you know how to use it right.
For sure, for
Right.
sure. You know, it's about understanding self, and this is one thing that we casually bounce around as we're moving forward and reestablishing the government of the Maipuri Arauan Nation. Is that we have various people who are from various religious and philosophical backgrounds, and we never let that become the issue. But we see one another growing in our own position, and we respect that.
Right.
And it's recognized. You know,
Okay.
so everybody that that comes forward to the Maipuri Nation, if your name was James or your name was Sharon, you come forward because we're doing a what's called a repatriation process. Repatriation of yourself is the going back of yourself. In other words, going back and claiming the rights that your ancestors had before colonization. And your ancestors had the right to self-sustainability, self-determination. All of those things were bestowed upon our ancestors, and those things were taken away. So the process that NAAIP does with the Maipuri Nation, we assist with making sure that individuals like yourself, for example, if you were stepping forward and saying, "Hey, I don't, my grandmother was Indian, and you know she told us all of her life," or my great grandmother said, then we take that information that you simply say, and we ask you, where was she from? And you tell us, for example, she was from Tuskegee, Alabama. And we will say, how long was she in Tuskegee? Is that where she was born? Is that where her mother was born? Yes, her mother was born there, and her grandmother was born there in Tuskegee, Alabama. So because of that, then you start to look at your calendar and you say, okay, we're talking back into the 1800s now that she lived in this area. Let's research the area and see what was taking place during that year, during that period of time in history.
Okay.
And then we see that, was there slavery going on in that territory? Wow. There were black landowners, but there was no slavery going on in that particular territory. So then we start to eliminate the slavery narrative from that. So then we look at what's the territory comprised of. And then we also look at documents from the family that reflect whether or not the great grandmother was recognized as Indian or Native or colored. If she was recognized or he was recognized as colored, then we know from historical position and legal position via the Thomasina Jordan Act, which Trump signed in 2018, that declared 112 tribes or groups of white people. He declared them Native Americans and beneficiaries of all of the Native American rights and benefits because they brought forward documents to show that they were Indian. And the only documents that they brought forward were documents showing that their grandparents and great grandparents were colored.
So let's talk about that, because
We're talking white people saying that, showing that their grandparents were colored.
right.
They become white over a period of generations or a period of time, 2-3 generations down the line. Now they're completely white. So they assimilate into the white culture, but they've come back with these black documents of colored,
right.
and now they're recognized as Native American tribes in the United States as of 2018. The issue is,
That's great.
you also have grandparents
Mm-hmm.
that have colored on a birth certificate.
Yes, sir.
You just haven't done the research on it. And you have the same thing, but you haven't done the research on it.
Mm-hmm.
This is who it's for. This is what this Thomasina Jordan Act was for. But because we were so tied up in looking, what were you doing in 2018?
2018, I was just coming back from I was actually in Africa on those times. I was in Kenya and Uganda. 2018 was a good year, but I guess I was in Africa.
What was the position of Black Lives Matter in 2018?
The position of Black Lives Matter was always continuous liberation for Black people. And I was
So
on
in
the front line.
2018, you guys were active.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Very
We've
good.
been active since 2015.
I see.
Since Trayvon Martin passed, since he was murdered.
Okay.
We've been activated since then. And sometimes, just like when 2019, 2020, you had the George Floyd incident, sometimes certain incidents kind of reactivate and jolts the movement again. But what we have to do is have that same energy, just as we did back in 2015 when Brother Trayvon was killed. And that's kind of how, for us, we have to be engaged 100% all day, every day. And even when you're talking about just being able to reconnect back to our culture, but understand it, right? And just be knowledgeable and talk about it. Talk about adverse possession. A lot of people don't know about adverse possession.
Yes. Yes.
They don't understand the Michigan law.
Yes.
It's a Michigan real estate law,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so when you start understanding these components, it won't sound foreign to you.
Yes.
When you kind of explain it to it.
Yes.
So just kind of breaking it down. Adverse possession.
I'm going to address adverse possession, but let me share this last point.
Okay.
Before Barack left office, he passed a law that took out the word black in law.
Yeah.
He took out the word Negro in law. He left the word colored in, but he took out Negro and black.
What was his point?
Negro and black, once it was taken out of law, then those who are filing for reparations are unable to get anything for reparations. Because first of all, the Negro was not listed in slavery.
Right.
The black was not listed in slavery. Negro came about in 1959 when I was born. 3 years prior to that, my sister's birth certificate says that she was colored. My mother says that she was colored. You see, so the system started to change, and about 1971, 72, they started using the term black instead of Negro. They started migrating. So you see, we have these terms of Negro and black that had nothing to do with slavery, and taking them out of law made sure that they could never be used for that purpose. So colored is the position that we file under, but black people don't like to be called colored. They don't understand the legal position of colored. They're completely confused. So they filed for reparations for African Americans, and African Americans came about when Jesse Jackson coined the term.
Right.
So we're talking about legal terms that are used in law, and African Americans can never sue for anything. The place that you sue from is from the colored perspective. But in order to sue from the colored perspective, you got to understand that and come from that under environmental racism, under the colored perspective, in order to gain reparations.
How do we, like you said, how do we get the people to the knowledge?
You mean concerning reparations?
No, concerning how you saying about the difference from the African American to the colored, what you telling us now? Because I didn't know that. So we have people going.
It's these are things that NAAIP participants and supporters, they know these things. So we have a few thousands of people that know, but it's formats and platforms like this that we can begin to open up the information and begin to have dialogue concerning how we move forward concerning reparations. Now,
I just want to go back to what you just said too, man. I know we champion Obama. I know, we was excited about having a brother in office. But when you kind of talk about the things that he did in office, and the accomplishments that he did, for black people, he did a lot for everybody else. He did a lot to put everybody else in position. And I feel that we still, we got a little pushback. Just like when you talk about even the reparations thing, because that's been a big topic for the past about 10 years now.
I would say that Barack Obama is probably the greatest president ever. And the reason that I say that is because in 2014, I filed a $30 billion claim against the Commerce Department.
Okay.
That the Inspector General signed off on, the Inspector General of the United States signed off on in 2015, fortifying that claim that was filed against the Commerce Department and the Census Bureau for identity theft and genocide, because they perpetuated the paper genocide of the natural inhabitants out of here and renamed them Negroes and blacks, and so that's fraud.
Yeah.
So the United States committed fraud.
They did that
to gain a greater position under white supremacy. You see, because of that happening in that way, it places us in a unique position, and Barack did a lot to make that happen. Now, when Barack was in office,
You say he did a lot to make that happen.
I'm gonna share.
Okay.
When Barack was in office, he had close to 35 Native Americans working in the White House.
Okay.
It's first time in history, because the Pope had come in 2009 and declared an end to slavery, the end of the doctrine of slavery, and the end of the doctrine of discovery, declared both of them to be deficient. He left Canada and went straight to Mexico and made the same declaration at the Southern Gate, Canada being the Northern Gate. My claim that I filed against the Commerce Department spells out how this country was built on population, census, and when census was taking place, and how many Negroes were free in Kentucky, and how many frees were free in Pennsylvania in 1700s, early 1700s. They were doing censuses.
Right.
Now, when Barack was at Oxford University in California, he wrote 2 books called The Negro and the Indian.
Barack did?
He used 4 ghostwriters.
Oh, okay.
Check it out.
All right. I'm gonna check it out.
The information from his book, from his books,
Yeah.
I shepherdized that information and pulled all of the dates out of that publication.
Okay.
Those dates were used to file my claim against the United States Commerce Department that the Inspector General approved from Barack's book.
Okay. All right.
Declaring that we were Native American, that we were Indians.
So you telling me Barack was spooked by the door?
Spooked by the door.
Okay.
Spooked by the door.
All right. I got to do research on it.
Yes, man. If you can go to Scribd, you can go to NAAIP Scribd.com. And if you type in NAAIP International Scribd.com,
Okay.
the document is going to pull up.
And the document that you did with the Attorney General.
Yes, and it has all of his ghostwriters listed in the document. So then now, through your research, you go and research those ghostwriters and find out who they were working with while they were at Oxford University.
Okay, what year was this?
Oh, I don't have the year as to when he was at Oxford University, but if you go to the document and see, this was done kind of covertly, under the cover, because when Barack was in office, my first cousin worked for Barack, Secret Service. He's still with the family right now. So we didn't need a lot of conflicts taking place. So I always played it very low and giving my documents into the White House through the back door, through Valerie Jarrett.
I get it.
And that kept everything at a norm, on the low, and allowed me to move freely around the country as I was beginning to do now, because I had someone in the White House.
Got you. Okay.
You see, if you really want to look at the accomplishment that Barack made while he was in office for Black people, then you got to go and look at the books that he wrote and why he wrote them, and then the fact that when he came into office, nothing but Indians. But Barack cannot say Black people are Indians as president. Come on, that's chaos. It's like Farrakhan said to me at the 10-10-15. I was invited to 10-10-15, and when I stepped up to the microphone, you can see it on C-SPAN right now, 10-10-15. When I stepped up to the microphone, they shut the microphone off.
Why?
Farrakhan apologized after he came up, and he said, apologize for turning the microphone off and having the problems with the Indians. And we really apologize. But then in private, your message was too powerful, and it would cause chaos in America. Because 10-10-15, I was about to discuss what I'm discussing with you right now.
Okay.
And in his mind, that would have created massive chaos. And I believe that because at the time, yes.
Okay.
And even at this time, if we don't bring it gradually,
Mhm.
because when you come to a recognition and a realization that you are not what they have perpetuated you to be,
Yeah.
you know, first you come to realization and you say, oh wow, this is like disgust. Disgust turns to anger.
Mm-hmm.
Anger turns to violence when you have people who are not uh, solidly bound to social peace.
Right.
You know, so I can clearly see that position. We're now in a time where the Maipuri Arauan Nation has come forward. We have the treaties, so we don't have to create anger. Years ago, 5-6 years ago, yes, I was a very angry person, and I could have set anything off and been glad that it was set off.
Right.
At this particular time, I'm looking to build and heal our people because we are here with the colonizers and we can't remove them.
Mhm.
So we have to develop the platform so that we can function in peace, harmony, and balance with them. And this leads to that adverse possession. You know, the state of Michigan has provided in its laws that if you should recognize a property, a house, there's so many in Flint. From what I understand, it's the largest amount of houses still abandoned in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at that and you look at what the state says that anyone can go and possess a property that has been abandoned.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone.
Right.
They can possess that property and they can take that property unto themselves. And they just have to be cautious because within 10 years, somebody could come back and snatch that property up.
Right. So example.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of honing in. So anybody is eligible to take a property.
Anybody.
Right?
Anybody.
But you got a 10-year period.
Yes.
In which, you know, somebody can come back and claim that property.
Yes.
In which whatever you put into that property, you should be compensated.
Well, that depends on if you filed a lien on the property. Okay. Most people will just take an adverse possession and just go and occupy.
So that's what I'm.
So
you might just sit in there. A lot of people just sit in there and cut the grass.
Yeah. So
put a lock on the door.
Yeah. So you run a greater risk of it being taken away from you. But the moment that you go and put doors on that house, you paid $100, $140 for each one of those doors. You paid for the locks. That's a $500 lien now that you have against the house. But if you don't file that lien, it means nothing. But if you file that lien, then whomever comes forward saying that this is my property, they have to satisfy that lien. So yes, you go put doors on, you go and drywall, and you do all of your sheet, whatever you're doing, and you fix the place up, and now you've spent $18,000 plus labor, plus every time you cut the grass, you're charging for cutting the grass, the painting of the place, all of that goes into the lien. And now when you file the lien and someone comes forward issuing a notice, you simply provide those documents, that you have filed adverse possession and a lien on that property. And here's the lien note, here's the lien amount, and here are my receipts and the labor and people that came in and did work. Here's everything. And now you can pay me that $28,000 that I've spent on this property. Otherwise, you can't take it. Now, a person that abandons a property definitely doesn't have $28,000 that he's going to come back and now buy his property back when he's walked away from it for the past 8, 9, 10 years. It's been abandoned. And that's what the status of the properties are here in the state of Michigan. These properties have been abandoned so long that under state law, nobody can come back because it's past that statute of limitations for them to even come back. That's why the city then takes these properties and they give them to what used to be called land bank and that sort of thing. And now these other Europeans, they're giving it away to them. Land bank was just recently terminated. Land bank does not exist anymore. They're just not telling people. And there are out-of-state corporations that purchased all the properties from land bank. And those out-of-state corporations are now coming in and doing all of the finagling. And they're also standing behind the land bank contracts. Those land bank contracts are illegal because land bank is no longer in business. But it as of 2 months ago. See, the mayor knows this, but they're not announcing any of this.
So as of 2 months ago, the land bank has ended.
Yes.
Is this nationally or is it all around the country? Are you talking about just in Genesee County?
Genesee County, yes.
So just in Genesee County. So what? So what I'm saying is, I guess, because to the average community member, right?
Flint has 14 police officers.
Right. Yeah, I know.
The city of Flint has 14 police officers, and the mayor just hired an outside corporation to bring in law enforcement to the city. See, the people don't know this. These are dangerous things that are taking place. So with these adverse possessions, this is just open territory because those corporations, they did not have the authority to buy from Land Bank because Land Bank didn't own the properties.
I'm just trying to get some clarity on some of this real quick. So with the land bank, what process went through to end the land bank 2 months ago?
That I'm not sure of. You'd
Okay.
have to get in a meeting with the mayor to go ahead and.
So this was done with the city? This is done through the
Yes.
current administration.
Yes.
Genesee County Land Bank.
Yes.
City council?
You know, I don't know. I don't know names.
Because the thing is, you know,
I've just had conversations with
Flint
Flint
just received Flint just received what it's supposed to receive 600 properties. 600 properties plus additional was 42 other properties. If they did nothing, they were supposed to receive these properties. But they did nothing, and then now it seemed as if they lost those properties.
No, he took them back over there to the county.
Well, I'm just saying, like, so it's like they didn't do anything, so they didn't get the properties. Flint doesn't have those properties. But now we saying that the land bank was ended 2 months ago.
Yes.
So that's some information that, you know, definitely for one, you know, this Flint community, we should definitely be aware of.
Yes.
You know, we're talking about Genesee County Land Bank is ended, and that program is no longer available here in the city of Flint. And Land Bank own a third of the properties here in Flint. So definitely needs
so
you're
actually operating through an agency. It's not Land Bank, it's an agency, but they're pretending to just continue on as Land Bank because nobody knows. There's been no official announcement. It's like Sears taking over Walmart, but we're not going to tell everybody that we're Sears.
Yeah,
you understand?
I got you.
But you have no contract with Sears. You have a contract with Walmart. You see, so it's fraud.
Right.
About the police that you said, like how he bringing these gonna be like they get hired from a company.
From private companies.
So
How
that
do
could be
we know?
mercenaries, right?
Yes,
Hold on, Bubby, one.
it's just not safe.
So he has to bring this be. So I guess, you know, so my thing is this, you know, when we're making, you know, decisions, it's co-equal branches of government. So if he's hiring another firm to bring in more police officers and mercenaries to the city, and the public is not knowing about this, we need to go ahead and understand how these things are being processed and passed.
They're being processed and passed under state of emergency.
But what state of emergency?
We're in a pandemic, so everything has changed because of the pandemic. They're just not telling you.
So
That's why these government buildings are shut down, so you cannot reach anyone to list official complaints at Department of Homeland Security, and all those offices are shut down and not back up until the pandemic is over.
What?
Yes.
Just because of pandemic, and I understand those.
It's a changeover of government taking place.
So Flint community, just so that way, you know, we all kind of following along. It seemed like there's been some activity regarding the land bank. Also, through public safety, we're bringing more police officers to the community. One thing for sure, I've never been a big fan of bringing more police to the community. That's not a solution. What we must do is more invest into the people in the community, right? A lot of times it's friction and issues that go on with folks, you know, with a perpetrator or a victim. And we just need to learn how to go ahead and work with each other and build with each other. So we need to activate those neighborhoods, those mini police stations, put those block club, block association members, and then also offer a stipend. That will go farther than bringing more police officers, potentially people from outer county who don't have any understanding about Flint or its residents, and trying to police this community.
Correct.
That just doesn't make sense. So I'm definitely gonna be looking into that. That's the first thing for sure. But then it's about this land bank thing, right? Those folks at the land bank, you know, if this community is not being presently known, folks don't understand that this land bank was dissolved. I mean, I'm just gonna say it was ended 2 months ago. And then they have these properties, and we still are looking at how do we obtain commercial buildings, because it's just not the properties that we want. We want the parcel lots, commercial properties, all that. And we want to understand how do we go ahead and make processes so it's easy to access for residents and citizens to obtain those properties.
Right.
So, man, I think you shed a lot of light on those two things that we will definitely, you know, research and
Good.
well, man, see what's going on. but try to make sense out of that.
Good, good.
I think that's something deep. So with this adverse possession, you talked about have to have the status to be able to follow through on this project.
Well, you know, you are a U.S. citizen, and I'm a citizen of the Maipuri
Yes, sir.
Arauan. The Maipuri, we are indigenous people under a separate governmental structure, and the laws in place that protect us are listed as federal Indian laws.
Okay.
And under federal Indian laws, the people of the Maipuri, we are Indian not taxed.
Indian not taxed.
Indian not taxed means that we are claiming and holding Aboriginal title to wherever we are. So therefore, anywhere. So therefore,
in the world,
anywhere in America, in the United States.
Okay.
Yes, yes, under federal U.S. laws.
Okay.
Because of the Aboriginal title that exists with Aboriginal people and the position of Indian not taxed, that means that the property that I live in cannot be taxed because it's attached to the ground. And due to my ancestry, I have Aboriginal title to the ground. So therefore, that land where I'm located cannot be taxed.
I like that. Yeah.
You understand?
That's respect. Yeah.
So when you talk about U.S. citizens, that's a different legal construct. Even if you were my blood brother is a police officer in Memphis. He's president of the sheriff's union, and he's been there for 20 some years as a sheriff.
Yeah.
I am Maipuri. He is not.
Okay.
He is taxed.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
And he follows all the laws that are mandated. Otherwise, he couldn't hold his job. He fears that. I, his blood brother, I'm Indian not taxed. And whatever I purchase, land that I purchase in this country, it's not taxed.
So do you talk to him about this? I'm pretty sure.
Yes, we've had conversations about it, but not in depth. I stay so far from everything and everybody. I'm always traveling, so I don't engage with my family a great deal. My family actually, when I first found out all these things about the tribalism and our family history, they started making fun of me and calling me Chief Tomahawk and things like that. But yes, but that's what families do. But over the years, things have changed, and they recognize
them. Yeah.
They recognize the power position that I'm in. When I do travel to Memphis, which is where I'm from, the police are known to get an official alert that I'm in town, and I'm boloed when I go there to be on the lookout so that they don't engage with me.
Now, is your brother putting a call out, or is this just straight official saying, "Hey, listen, this brother's bolo"?
I think my brother may have something to do with it by telling his judge that, well, my brother's in town, because Memphis lost 362 police officers because I and 60 others filed Article 3 suits against the police department for official oppression, and we were able to get a Department of Justice investigation from Washington, D.C. to come into Memphis, and Memphis lost 362 police officers.
Hit them where it hurt.
Hit them real hard.
Hit them hard.
And that's what I'm looking at for the city of Flint, is once we engage in developing the education concerning adverse possession and tribalism, I intend to engage information pertaining to environmental racism torts, that you as a citizen cannot file an environmental racism tort against the city of Flint.
As a citizen, you cannot file.
As a citizen, because you are the government. So you can't sue yourself. You are the people.
Right, of course. But, so is that how it's a play on words?
Yes. And environmental racism tort is an international. So all U.S. citizens cannot go into the international zone legally. They have to go to the United States. So no foreign country will listen to any U.S. citizen, will help any U.S. citizen, etc. So that's the way that it applies. But because of the fact that we do have tribal people living here in Flint, then we, as those tribal people, were able to file suit for environmental racism and genocide, because what they've done is they've pumped us with bacteria. They pumped us with lead. They pump you with the water crisis, which brought about legionella, Legionnaire's disease.
Yeah.
Everybody in Flint has Legionnaire's disease and don't even know it. Every single person in Flint who lived in Flint 2013, 14, 15 has Legionnaire's disease. Legionnaire's disease is going to debilitate their brains.
So
Literally
everybody
starts to melt your brain tissue from the intracellular parasites that are in your system now. Because when you took a shower, those little aspirations of water hitting your face, you breathed them right in. And that's where the parasites were contained in the water. So you breathed it in, and now it contaminated your whole blood system. And it's been doing that since it started. And nobody has treated you for parasites in your brain, which is why people click a little bit different. Because when you have problems with lead, and then you have the parasites eating away at your brain, you got a real toxic situation going on. Because people are unable to stay balanced.
Is that a loss of memory? And
yes, all of that is affected. Agitation, all of that stuff gets involved.
Man, I'm trying to tell you, man, this folks, it's just everybody been agitated, everybody been irritated, frustrated.
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. Every day I drink certain teas, and
mitigate the levels or mitigate the impact of Legionella.
Well, Legionella and all sorts of ailments as well. But definitely, as far as the parasite structure is concerned, I'm making sure that I'm free of parasites on a regular basis. You know, so that the brain fires different. Because I mean, literally, if you got little worms moving around in your brain's going to misfire because it's electric current that's flowing through the brain. So if something gets between these tissue particles, so to speak, you get misfiring. It's just misfiring.
You get the acting out a little bit.
Yes, and it affects you in all kinds of ways, you know. And everybody can't explain what's really going on with their health and what they're really going through, you know. But that's a large problem here in Flint.
Solutions. How because you know the water crisis has been going on since 2014. I've been going on before then. That's just when it was put out there to the public. So for everybody who's been living, taking showers, preparing their meals, just been around water here in Flint, what can they do to kind of reverse the effects of Legionella, which is all type of lead, type of other effects? What can we offer? How? Because that's a real thing. And to be honest, we work in the schools with a lot of these young people. A lot of these young people were like babies when the water crisis first started. And now we in 2022. They teenagers, they young adults, right? They out here, moving around,
misfiring,
being adults, misfiring, if you will. So we got to look at them with a certain type of empathy. And that's what I was saying. Like, let's not kick them out. Let's see what's really wrong with them. There may be some issues going on with brain development, behavior issues, etc. But what we haven't treated nobody. We haven't treated residents in Flint. We haven't. That's the problem. So when there's a traumatic situation that come in the community, you need all type of therapy. You need all type of psychology. You need all type of just mental health support, physical health, emotional help. I don't think we offered enough for Flint residents.
No, I think Flint is responsible. Flint is responsible for providing the citizens with parasite removals from their body, because they gave them the parasites. They gave them the Legionnaire's parasite. That's an intracellular parasite, and they are obligated to repair those issues, but somebody has to bring those issues forward to them. Right. I think you were mentioning to me the other day that while there was a lot of juggling going on with the last administration and the mayor and concerning the water crisis as a whole, and that there may be a possibility that Ms. Weaver is looking for possibly another engagement with the city of Flint. I think that her best angle is to heal the people, and force the government to recognize that you have contaminated these people with Legionella and Legionnaires and done nothing about it, And I'm saying that you are going to heal the people of Flint and provide them with the parasite cleanses that need to be done at no cost to them, and to provide them with free water wherever they live because of that abuse and that oppression against them.
Yeah,
That's how she
that's a
should
good-
be
that's a
fighting,
strong
and that would be a very strong position to actually take and actually, I believe, accomplish a lot down the road on it.
I think, man, that's right there. That will be very impactful to come up during the water crisis, because she came into office when the water crisis was
Mhm.
already in play. So just to come back to heal the people,
Mm-hmm.
you said it for, man. Listen, we need to be healed. Like, we need to be made whole. Like, we have been, just trampled all over. And so just to come in and heal the people, first physically,
Mm-hmm.
maybe we need to put in some different structures for some health support,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then also take it that emotional,
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
we haven't dealt with the traumatization of being in a crisis. Like, would it feel like being in a crisis?
Mm-hmm.
Early in a crisis, we couldn't even use the water to make food and take a shower,
Mhm.
do those type of things. But like, you never really realize how traumatizing that was.
Yes.
Like, even when I go out of town, I go out of the country, like, I'm looking for bottled water, right?
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's
Yes.
that's not a normal thing. And so what we need to do is definitely heal. And I
Yes.
think that would be the God honest approach.
You would be
to getting back
amazed.
in.
You would be amazed that nearly 90% of all ailments of the body comes from parasites.
Yeah. Mhm.
And let's say if that is
Bacteria.
the truth,
Mhm.
and we are then completely cleansed of parasites,
Mhm.
then we're not going to have the fogginess of brain. We're not going to have the agitation of brain. We're not going to need any therapy. You see? Because the
Okay.
body
Yeah.
has a mechanism to heal itself. You just have to create a pathway for it to do that. And
Yeah.
removing the parasites from your body is the pathway
Mhm.
to the body healing itself. And if my body is disrupted and I have a hypothalamus problem that causes agitation and mental stress and that sort of thing, and it's then further moved by parasites,
Mhm.
then when I get rid of the parasites, then things are going to start getting a little bit better in
Mm.
everybody,
Mm.
because we're no longer plagued with the thing that's causing us to have this constant headache. That's going to irritate me to have a constant headache. As a young person who's got lead in his body and I'm constantly having headaches, I'm going to be agitated and I might pop off at any time. Because I'm you don't know that I got a headache every night, man. Bro, I got a headache every night and I take my aspirin and I don't know what's causing it. That's a
Right.
lot of people.
That is a lot of people. So remedies, right? We talked about remedies.
I have an herbalist. I have an herbalist. Um, her name is Aomi Miyakota, and she lives here in Flint. She's a tribal citizen
Okay.
with the Maipuri,
Okay.
and she's been using a lot of ancient tribal remedies and recipes in developing various compounds for healing and for healthy bodies. And she treats cancer, she treats Alzheimer's, she treats kidney failure, and all of those things.
Mhm.
So dealing with the parasite structure is like a snap. Really, it's just that people don't know that that's 90% of their problems that they're going through in life is because the body is not functioning proper,
Mhm.
because there's something eating it up
Yeah.
on a 24-hour basis, causing your white blood cells to go crazy and all these things, that constantly trying to save itself because of the parasitic infection that's going on inside the body.
Mhm.
So yes, there are remedies, and anyone that may want to look into parasite cleanse, they can actually contact me direct. My phone number is 340-513-5300. You can contact me there, or you can contact me via Facebook, which is HEMOC, HEMOC, Xelup, XELUP on Facebook, and I'll definitely lead you to the right path and where to go to gain that. And again, this is what's being done for our tribal citizens everywhere in Mexico and South America and the Caribbeans. We are provided a healthier space because we utilize those herbs that protect us and build us, and we make sure that the body's not infected with any type of parasites on a regular basis. So we stay clear. So yes, there's definite remedy, and I think that again, I think that the approach should be towards the administration, towards funding parasite cleanse for all of the citizens.
Yes.
Show your ID. Were you here? Did you live here? Yes, go. There you go. Now you have a 3-month supply of parasite cleanse, and 3 months is going to get rid of the parasites within your body.
You know what? I need to do I think I need to do a parasite cleanse. I'm gonna do a parasite cleanse.
I'm sure you do need. If you have not, yes, because the parasites are in everything. If you eat rice, yes, you've got parasite eggs. You got fly eggs. If you eat meat of any sort, they inject it with the actual parasites to actually flood the body. This is not a joke. This is COINTELPRO to remove us because we seem not to die. As quote unquote black people, we seem not to die. And that's a massive problem because of the environment that we live in. And it's not just Africa, it's not just here in America, it's across the globe, where Australia, where black people, Indonesia, are subject to be removed because we have an ability to be like cockroaches. We don't die, we multiply. Yes, sir.
I love it.
Yes,
I love it, man. I'm trying to tell you, I'm definitely. My thing is this: I do want us to be very mindful for us as Flint residents because we have been exposed to legionella. We've been exposed to lead, and so we do want to take it upon ourselves to do whatever we can to go ahead and rid the body of toxins,
yes,
and diseases. And so whether that be in working out, that's one thing that we talk about, right? But that mean getting with a herbalist, I think I definitely want to connect with it, right? And see exactly. I'm big on teas and elderberries and sea moss.
Yes.
I'm big on those things. So I do need a black seed, or I do need to step my game up.
Yes.
But I do just really us be just very conscious of our health.
Well, you definitely want to do a parasite cleanse. You want to do that as a primary because if you're taking black seed and black seed is repairing this, and the parasites are still eating you away, you're still dying. You're still being eaten alive. So you have to keep extra black seed going to you to make you feel better. Because you're still being eaten alive. Get rid of those things that are eating you alive and just take a little bit of black seed, and all of a sudden you feel like the Hulk. Because there's nothing eating you alive and killing your system. It's really simple. And this is what everybody should be doing, cleansing their system, and the city should be holding the accountability for cleaning everybody's system.
I love it. So you hear that first, man. Flint City, man, we owe more. Residents, citizens, we owe more. All my constituents, we need to be able to force parasite cleansing, but we need health stations all around the city. Right? We need free water for the rest of for folks who've been engaged into the water crisis. Yeah, we need free water. We don't want to pay another water bill. Right? Those is real wins for the city. Like this settlement that they just provided for the city of Flint, man, is very laughable.
It's a joke.
It's just crazy. Like, right. And just to look and just give that out to people, you should feel bad. People who sitting at the table who even came up with those numbers, you need your teeth kicked in. Like Mickey always talking about.
And how do you kick their teeth in? By holding the city accountable to heal everybody.
Holding the city accountable. And so that's our move now. I think, so I think this gives the Flint water crisis a rebirth.
It does.
We are trying to figure out what's our next steps. And a lot of times people around the country think that we all we all good, everything okay. The water crisis is fixed. But truth be told, it's not.
It's not.
And the people in position they doing the bare minimum about it.
The thing about it, the infrastructure is being and has been repaired to some degree, but the people are dying. And that's the genocide. That's the biggest concern, is the fact that people are dying and don't even know that they're dying, and don't know what they're dying from, don't know what's causing the joint pains of early arthritis. It's the parasites. It's legionella. If you research legionella, intracellular parasite, you will find all of the damage that this parasite does to the body. It depletes the immune system, and for some reason, the sun is still hitting us, and this carbon in our skin is keeping us alive because viruses cannot live in a carbon-contained situation. Specific viruses. So we have some protections, but we need to now get rid of those things that are lessening our protection. And the parasites, nothing could be more profound and more important for the city of Flint and its people than to remove those parasites from everybody's body on every block in this city, and people will think and move clearer. They will think and move clearer. No more agitation. Lessen depression and stress, because the parasites are causing this.
You see the spike in crime that's been going on.
It's going to get worse, but it's being motivated because there's agitation in the city of Flint. Because you're dealing with lead and legionella, and both of those are brain debilitating compounds. So you're being slowly killed, and you don't even know it. And those who lived in Flint but have moved out, they are dying as well and don't even know it from Legionnaire's disease.
Just because they moved out of the city, you're saying that they still have been impacted.
They were here and they took a shower. They took a shower and then they decided, I'm tired of Flint. I'm moving.
Yeah.
So many people moved. That's why you got all the empty houses.
Yep.
Where did they move to?
Different cities.
They're still sick. They still got Legionnaires.
Still got Legionnaires.
Yes, man.
Still ain't. It carries with you.
That's a massive thing that the city is terrified of being addressed. The county, the state. That's the most terrifying thing, because that's death upon people that have moved, and so now you got to search for these people. You got to make public announcements that if you were in Flint, this is what this leads to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Listen, let's do something about this city of Flint. Let's make sure that we take this serious. I think when we talk about our health and just being pillars in this community, this is something that we do need to discuss. We haven't discussed or thoroughly even engaged in Legionella. I know that was a conversation before when the water crisis first popped off. We were talking about Legionella. Actually, it was a few folks who passed from the Legionella, right? But then also for the continuous efforts for folks who are continue to be impacted by it, right, and don't know that you're being impacted by it. Is it a way that they can kind of check? How can they do some checks and balances? Is this a way
the University of Michigan? University of Michigan, they started researching the effects of walnut hulls on parasites.
Okay.
I brought the Legionella information to them in 2017, and they have developed walnut farms, and so they're doing research. This research is leading to providing all types of mechanism in place to get rid of the Legionella problem that's still in the Flint water. See, the parasites are still there. And they don't have any way of changing that. The only thing that they could do is put the water flow system from another source and not use the Flint River. So you're going back to what, Lake Huron or Lake, whatever it is, where you get your water supply. I don't know where you get your water right now.
Well, they got you got the KWA. They got the KWA pipeline, and we were getting our water from Detroit.
So if it's a Legionella free place, then you're not continuing to get it. But at the same time, you're talking about the contamination is already there. The time bomb is already in place. It's just ticking.
We already been infected.
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
Well, you know what? This has been a grand conversation, and this is what I would like for us as city residents and community leaders. Let's continue to have this conversation. Let's continue to have this dialogue. Let's continue to just follow through. The message. Two things that I heard today that I want to do some takeaways from. One is, of course, adverse possession, right? We actually was leading to a couple different things, but I want to highlight adverse possession, right? That's a big thing if you know how to utilize it right. It's like a tool. You know how to utilize a tool properly, then it works well for you, right?
Yes.
And then also just being communicative, right? You know, it's a lot of things about being transparent in the city. And a lot of times the community members and folks on the ground in the community are the last to receive the information.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about land bank being dissolved or ending land bank, Genesee County Land Bank 2 months ago, when you talk about the current administration really trying to look at hiring outsourced police staff to come
Mhm.
in and police the community, um, those things never warrant good results. So I really want to put that out there, make sure that us do our due diligence and following up on those issues and then bringing it back to the table.
For sure.
So folks understand where we are. And then I'm always talking about in practice. It's always an action. I'm an action type of person. So, you know, I'm interested in obtaining land.
Well, I'll say this concerning that.
Mhm.
As soon as you are ready,
Mhm.
then I'm ready to facilitate a class or classes on adverse possession. We can film those so that your future participants can simply watch the video and gain the information concerning how to acquire the property,
Mhm.
how to file the necessary adverse possession notice and lien document. All those things are easily taught and eagerly shared. And
Okay.
if you bring the people forward, then I will definitely make it available so that they can understand that, and I will also help them to understand tribalism and the power of tribalism and the power of recognizing where you come from and where you belong, because you really don't know where you belong until you know where you come from. Then you can itemize that and you can put it down factually. That's why I brought this book. This book. The First Americans Were African. This is one book that turned around my whole thought process of what was going on in this country with the inhabitants, with the Negro, with the blacks, and finding out that artifacts have been found, copper mines have been found, those copper mines were mined by little short black men, got the bones and all that. This guy, he found all that stuff up in Michigan, over in Minnesota, and various places. Pygmies, Negro pygmies, this tall. They lived in the caves. They lived in these caves that you see all around the country, these mounds. They lived in them and habitated in them. And the doorways are this tall, not for us people to be walking through. Those people were Fujians. They were nappy-haired,
Yes, short.
Afro
Yeah.
people, short, dark people that looked like Africans, but they were from this territory. They were from here. But at some point, you know,
They was from this land.
looking at the diaspora
Mhm.
and that sort of thing, we don't really know where everything comes from. We don't know if the mechanical sources that put things in place, if they put these people here and these people there, we don't know any of those things. We can speculate all we want, but we have to look at the timelines and the way that indigenousness is working with us is that the timeline says that, according to the United Nations, if your ancestors inhabited a particular territory prior to colonization, then you are indigenous. And off that alone, we began the search of our ancestral background and to fortify our position of claims of indigenousness. And again, that applies with the birth certificates and those types of things. But you know, it's important to know where you come from in order to go forward. Because you if you want to buy land, if you bought land, the state owns that land.
You never really own
And
the land.
anything that you do on there, the state regulates it.
Right.
So you do something wrong, and the state gonna come and move you off of it.
You miss one
With
with
a tribal structure.
Right.
With a tribal structure, no, they are not coming up to claim that land. They're not going to do any of that because you have recognized who you are, and they already know who you are. But unless you claim it, then you're gonna be continue to be shuttled through the gates as sheep to do exactly what it is that they tell you to do and how to do it. And that's the position. Some people, you know, they try to say that recognizing that your tribal background is a form of seeking sovereignty. Well, those tribes were sovereign.
They were.
And we need to understand what sovereignty truly means. Sovereignty comes from governments, and governments who are sovereign, they protect their people based on that sovereignty. Okay. Individuals are not sovereign.
Right.
So in tribe is a government. So tribes are sovereign governments.
Right.
Under the law. You know, so we have to recognize that if grandma said that she was Indian, then what part of you is not Indian?
Right. Right.
And if grandma was Indian, but you say you got a little bit, What is that little bit? The finger? Your toe?
Right.
What part of you is that little bit of Indian?
Right.
Or is it the whole body
Right.
that's DNA'd
Yeah,
and come on. We have
Understand
we have been so tricked into positions of misunderstanding.
Mhm.
And we become so compulsive, and we go in circles. We go in circles. You just keep doing the same thing that you've been doing, and that's how life moves. We have to come out of that, but only we can bring that if we are already aware of that. And that's the stage. The step is, let's get busy with showing these women
Mhm.
and men
Mhm.
in the city of Flint how to take these properties
Yeah.
and take them with as little as $4,000 in your pocket, and then take that 4,000 and go fix up that house.
Come on now.
You see, you go fix up, and we will help you to do the paperwork to lay claim to that house. And all you have to do is show us that your grandmother or anybody had a birth certificate or document, death certificate that said colored, and we have no question about you coming to Maipuri, which
Right.
means that now you're able to have that legal protection in place as an Aborigine recognized person
Come on
under
now.
the law.
Man, listen, man. I want to thank you, good brother,
Yes.
man, for just coming in and
Yes.
dropping them jewels,
Yes.
man. When you talk about sovereign citizens and you talk about that type of talk excite me. Y'all ain't hear me when I said my straw man. I'm using my straw man as a business entity right now, right? You know what I'm saying? Utilizing it for full access. But I'm a sovereign citizen. That's how I live. I've been like that, right? And seeking to get status. But man, for everybody who is interested in obtaining land through adverse possession, or you just really want to seek and just get an understanding about your status, right? Understanding your heritage and being connected to a tribe. I think, just even getting insight, man, we really want to open those doors for you. So for those who are interested in that conversation and being a part of that class, that cohort, we want to get you signed up. Let's go ahead and get some of these properties out here. You heard what he said, man. The land blank is no longer in effect here in the city of Flint, and they're operating on the facade,
The
right?
fraud.
Right. So, man, this was some insightful information. Very powerful. We appreciate everybody for tuning in and just engaging in the conversation. We will be back with more Blackout specials.
Oh, one more thing.
We got one more thing.
Yes, I want to at least have people see this book. This is my first children's book. It's called The Fats and the Lipids. This book is partially written in what's called the Lakono language, the Maipuri language, our ancestral language. And in the back, there's a glossary, but it's a children's book. It's the first of six. It's a 6-book collection, and this is the first. And on the back, it has a QR code. Bing, you take a picture of that QR code, and then you can listen to the music soundtrack for the book. Come on, we got a music soundtrack for the book.
Come on now.
So that while you're reading it to your children, you can play the song.
That's
See, so it's a different approach, but we have to do that. The United States became the United States by taking our children and re-indoctrinating them into what's currently bullshit and miseducation.
Yeah,
we have to take on a position of insisting on education decolonization, because if education is decolonized, then the truth about all things come forward.
Yes.
But we have to demand that it is that education is decolonized, and nobody's going to do it for us. The Europeans not going to do it because they don't want it to be decolonized. They want to keep the status quo. So we have to fight for those things. So, initiating the adverse possession and the relationship, that's the beginning of a lot of things to unfold, and a lot of powerful platforms to be presented to America, to the United States. And because you are who you are as Black Lives Matter, and you've made inroads in a lot of places, we know how to assist in making sure that when you are tribalized, you know how to get those tribal grants to protect you from a different position, and to create commerce from a different position. As tribal people, we are free to set up our marijuana facilities and warehouses and do whatever it is that we choose as tribal people. That's already officiated under the government. So there are so many things that we can do. And acquiring properties, buildings, clinics, and adverse possession in this state, it says buildings, clinics, houses, whatever can be adversely possession. So we just have to come together as a group and co-work with one another to build what's needed for the people within the community, because we both live in the community as Maipuri, and individuals who protect and support the Black Lives Matter platforms and philosophies. We support all of our people who are suppressed and under oppression,
Yes,
and
sir.
we move to assist them in coming out of that oppression. So we got to
Mhm.
share some trade secrets, then we share trade secrets, and we get the job done.
Man, come on now.
Yes, sir.
Well, we locked in. I think
Very good.
when you talk about us,
Very good.
everything that we represent, we will definitely we are setting actually planning a class for the end of this month. To really kind of get in depth about, expand on any questions, to be able to kind of enlighten you on those processes for adverse possession. And then also I think more importantly is belonging to a tribe and understand who you are. I think that's the main value in this, man. Just reconnecting back to your people and having a sense of understanding and governing yourselves. Flint, we be talking about that all the time. Maybe we need to go ahead and establish a status right here, right? A flag. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And really kind of make it serious. So I'm full today, man. I really appreciate the conversation. I appreciate the insight.
And let me say this one more thing.
Mhm.
Because of the fact that attorney Vanessa Fluker,
Yeah.
she's out of Detroit. She's like one of the top housing attorneys in the state of Michigan, and she's got all kinds of accolades. She's a member of the Maipuri Nation. She's our attorney general. So we do have tremendous leadership on the legal side of things and the lawful side of things that protects us under the law. So the people that come forward, they are already under a structure or with a structure that provides legal protection of their property, their children, all of those things, because children belong to the tribe. They don't belong to the state. So the state can't just come and take your children. They can't just give them to CPS. They can't just come in your house for an interview. This is what they want you to believe.
Yeah.
The police cannot just come into your house. They cannot come and remove you from your property if you are in a particular status as tribal, because tribal people, they have ownership where they stand. These are the laws that are created, but because the tribes that we see are Native Americans. Native Americans are controlled by Congress. They're not like us. We're not controlled by Congress. That's the big difference. That's the big difference.
Yeah. They tell them what land they can occupy
100%.
and give them a set amount of month. You're right.
Yes, exactly.
But this, they have no jurisdiction over.
None whatsoever. Yes.
I respect that. I live and move like that.
The governor of Michigan just recognized our attorney general. The governor of Michigan recognized our attorney general. So that means a lot in positioning and who we are and what the state and what the politicals recognize about us. That is set to go a long way, because one attorney leads to another attorney to another, and we will have a legal body that then can protect us under environmental racism and genocide and all these other things, because this is what they've done to us in our country. Martin Luther King said we're held in exile in our own land. Come on. If we're held in exile in our own land, the man knew what I'm talking about. That we were the indigenous people of this territory, and we're held in exile in our own shit.
Yeah, that's been the case. And I think, when we have discussions like this, it should prompt you, man, to go ahead and understand and take your true ownership in life. So, a lot of times you don't even owner your own body.
That's correct.
Let alone, your own land and house.
That's correct.
So, man, definitely we will be having more of this dialogue. I appreciate you for just even dropping those jewels on us.
Yes.
And we will have continuous dialogue. Like we said, if you are interested in joining the class, we are setting one up for the end of this month. So get your paperwork together, right? We'll have that information that we'll share out to the public. We'll bring on the King back, as soon as, when we get another time coming in later on this month, we will be filming it, maybe do a documentary, right? Keep that stuff flowing.
Sure.
Just in general, man, we want to make sure that we want to be a strong foundation for our people in Flint. You got any questions? You want to get back with us? You want to connect with Fli-City Blackout? Please join us. Also check us out on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel. We appreciate all the support. Everybody who come on and watch the show, man, we always, big shout out to y'all. We know who y'all are. Thankful for everybody who always keep this brand going. So continue those efforts. Continue to be light. Enjoy your weekend. And we'll see you for the next one this Thursday, February. And
they might let me slip back up in here again.
Right. The legionella just knocked out the memory. We'll see you back February 10th with another Blackout special. We'll be featuring our brother, He actually be talking about some of the water crisis settlement too. So maybe but you guys are ahead of time here soon. But we're gonna bring let's coordinate and bring you back.
Yes, for sure.
All right.
For sure.
We appreciate every day. Shout out, big shout out to Mickey on the ones and twos back there, man. And we are out of here.